ან გამგებელი რა ხარ მომისმენე რატო არ იცოდი აქამდე რომ შუქი არის ხო არ გაინტერესებდა შენის რაიონი
დიდი ომში არ არის სხვა რაიონი
კარგი რა როგორ არ არის
People in general lost the hope and electricity is very much connected with the hope in human nature. It's difficult to understand for people who are living in other countries like civilized world or whatever. How much depends on electricity. It's something very, how to say, oppressing, or you feel so insecure when light goes off.
What happened then? Just went out when you called?
Yeah.
Oh.
Look at this. Total darkness. Heart of darkness.
If you don't have power, it means that you are hungry and you are cold and you're in the dark, no information. And this is like being dead, you know?
And I feel humiliated as a person. I feel like as if somebody, how to say, slept on my face or so.
You know, if you don't have any electricity, then when you go somewhere that has it, when you flip that switch on the wall and the lights come on, it's one of the most satisfying things that you can imagine.
Welcome to Tbilisi. Big city. And you just look at this scale of this problem. Every light that you see at night is another customer. It's another electricity customer, and every customer wants power. And if every customer doesn't get power, they'll try to get it from somewhere, and they'll run a line from somewhere else. A lot will. We think that about 40% of our customers have an illegal line.
So this bill is from AES Corp. This bill is the most scary thing in Georgia nowadays.
For the Soviet people, gas, electricity, water, everything was cheap. The government paid mostly for electricity. Now people must understand that they are to pay for something, that everything is on sale.
Tbilisi's here to make them pay, and they don't want to pay.
Last month, we only got a 10% payments rate, so that means that 90% of customers didn't pay.
I refuse to cut my hair again until the collections rate is 50%.
People have to pay to fix this system, to fix this problem. When the Americans came, everybody expected immediately there'd be 24-hour power forever.
chosen as our purpose to steward the resources we've been given in order to meet a need in the world. This is why AES exists, to serve the world with safe, clean, reliable electricity.
These crazy, naive foreigners who come to Georgia to try and do something, probably to make some money. Georgians know that we have no idea what we're up against, like how it really works. In the area we're working now, in Digomi, 11,000 customers, it's a population of about 40,000 people, and we've got all new meter systems, and we're going to go through a crash course of collecting the debts by cutting everybody off who have debts.
They started disconnecting customers today. And the first block of customers, about 600 customers, is disconnected. And about 90% of them will be disconnected.
90%?
Yeah.
You're going to have riots in the streets?
Well, that's what we're worried about, yeah.
Can you imagine what's going to happen in the Romy office today and tomorrow? Maybe you should stop. Before, in Soviet Union, people had better jobs, better salaries, and they were satisfied with their living. And after everything collapsed, and they've lost their places to work, and nothing is working now, everybody is unemployed, and their salaries are very low, and now they are afraid of future.
დაღამდება გამოვალ გათენდება გამოვალ დაღამდება სახში ვარ სად არის დენი რომელ უბანში თბილისში ვცხოვრობ
შუქი არა გაქვს They don't have light at all, he says. If we don't have money, we won't pay. So. He's inviting us to drink some wine. It's better now, she said, the electricity.
Zamtanshi mains ari.
Zamtanshi garashi. Ak parkebit აღარ გეკნება ხვალზე. და ვიცი მაგ პარკებიც აღარ გეკნება ხვალზე გადა. ამერიკელების გარაიმ რუსებს კოცებს.
He is pessimistic.
აბა აქ მაგო ვიცი რა იყო ლექსი რა იყო დღეს საზღარი გერმანია ჩვენ საზღარი შეიმოწოდა საზღარი ამერიკა ჩვენ შეიმოწოდა. თუმცა დაგიპრო.
All their life they were taught that Americans, capitalism is bad. These people are mostly grown up with those ideas.
Georgia's been overrun so many times. The Persians, the Turks, the Russians, the Mongols, Tamburlaine, they've all been here and smashed the place up.
The country which situates in such a remote areas, let's say remote from the sense of modern civilization, Western countries. Who who are our neighbors right now? Turkey, it's an aggressive country and it has many problems with human rights, of course, the ethnic problems. So via Turkey we can't get anything positive, let's say. More or less, I don't know. Armenia, our neighbor, which is also in the shit like Georgia, it has almost the same problems, which post-Soviet countries have, even worse than Georgia economically, more isolated. Azerbaijan, which has only oil, it's also ruled by mafioso people, nothing we can gain from Azerbaijan except of maybe cheap oil. And North Russia, stupid Russia with its problem, its Caucasus war in Chechnya. Politically, we are in very bad condition and it influences economically too.
Georgia was a real surprise because I didn't know Georgia existed. I knew nothing of the Caucasus, and I came here because there was no electricity for some work, and I really fell in love with the kind of mystery of the place. There's people from all over the old world here. It's a real polyglot nexus. Georgians are hard to get a sense of. They're complex, certainly. There are deep roots to what they do and how they think and why they do things. And understanding that's been a long sort of journey. The language in itself is so very difficult. It's like a secret code for the Georgians. I was born in London. I started traveling when I was very young. I moved to the States when I was a teenager, sort of an outsider then. Lived in Central America for about 4 or 5 years and just got used to the role of being an outsider. To continue to do that, when you get comfortable somewhere, you have to go somewhere else because otherwise you're not an outsider anymore, right? Been here for 4 years now. I like to try and understand a place and to learn languages, and I'm interested in the world and in different people, so the best way to do that is to go and live places.
Gives a person, if he wants to have a long hair, it's quite a personality, add something to his personality. Then I have a teenager daughter who likes long hair very much, so I'm more or less used to this. He won't cut it unless everything is okay and tell us.
We put these meter boxes in at our expense entirely, $100 per customer, so that we can build the Tbilisi customer relationship in a clearly defined way. That's the basis of the relationship, ultimately, is the meter.
The key to Tbilisi's success is the remetering project. It's their only way of collecting revenue. Tbilisi has hired the Black and Veatch as a project of installation and remetering the whole of Tbilisi. We're up to very, very close to 6,000 metres a week, which is big numbers, which we were told couldn't be achieved.
Up here just for a view of Didigomi. You can really see the layout of what they were going to build. That's what happens when the Russians leave. It was 1988 it all finished, and they just sort of upped and left everything really there, all the cranes, all the footings, and quite a lot of partly finished buildings. It's a lot of refugees live in them, and obviously people who have got nowhere else to live. It's cheap, I should imagine. These buildings were finished, but we think the customers have put the installation in themselves. Customers just hook up whatever they want, however they want. The whole connection is illegal. There's zero collection here, probably. There's no metered collection anyway. Cable's been so badly overheated, it's actually bare. It's got no insulation on it. I mean, it just peels off. We don't touch any of this, to be honest, because you end up electrocuting yourself. We'll go and have a look at one of the kiosks in one of the buildings over there where they've got lots of illegals. If you look in there's actually a burnout on one of the neutrals in progress. It's giving off a lot of heat. Be very careful in here because it's live. Everything's live. All the insulation's melting off, as you can see. This was more typical when we came here, right? This is what it was like, you know. Burnt switches, phases gone, cable installed like this. I mean, what the rock's for, I don't know.
Counterweight to hook on there.
I mean, don't touch anything metal, by the way, because chances are it's live. It's just scrap. I mean, they're using everything. Telephone cable to run power. Transformer room's open as well now. Don't, even 6 kV that is, Wayne, don't go in. Simple as that, don't go in. This is the main incomer chamber for 6 kV. Don't go in though, because I'll tell you what, if that floor comes live, we're fucking dead. Because they've got sparking going on over there, and it's like, we don't know what it is over there. As you walk over there, it was like sparks are falling down, but I'm not going in there, put it that way. I value my life. This is what maintenance have to work with to start with, you know what I mean? They've got a big job.
When the light goes off, she feels insecure because television means so much to her, you know, now. Because she's 87, she has 12 lari pension, which is $6 or so, and I'm never at home, and the only thing, only her friend is television. So in winter, when light comes only at 8 o'clock at night, so she waits for this light for someone really very special in her life or something.
I started to use an alcohol, you know, to be more happy, because when you have food, you have warm, you have fireplace, you have alcohol a little bit and nothing to do, because my old apartment is full with some high-tech, let's say, computers, fax, email, internet, and it's strange. You have all this very, let's say, expensive stuff, and it's useless.
We did first cut-off day today.
They have some complaints and they say that all the bills are incorrect.
Getting them all to pull together, that requires a professional information systems project manager with 20 years experience to come and work with them permanently, because we're not just running a system, we're creating, inventing, developing, testing. It's just a huge project, you know. They can't do it, you know. I mean, they can do it if they're given more tools. See, like, the thing is, Mike, if you like what we do, then help us, like, get this through and get these ideas over in a big way. Because this is the dope here, this is the spice of what our business is. And if we're not dealing with these problems and making this stuff work at this level, then what are we doing here? Yeah?
I guess everybody knows my name. You know, I'll go to a bar or a restaurant or something else and find some complete strangers paid the bill. I've got no idea who paid it, which is, you know, in some ways it's quite nice, but the other time you always feel you're on a show. Where else do you see the head of the power company that's a national celebrity on television? It's not normal, is it?
Mike's responsible for this huge company. It's Mike's project, he bid it. So it's incredible pressure, a lot of money involved, and it's a tough job. When Mike bought Tbilisi, the Georgians I knew, they were saying, oh, poor guy, he's such a nice boy, and he has no idea what he's getting into.
I know him, Skull. Yeah.
Mike Scully?
Yeah, Skull.
You not know him?
Yeah, of course.
I'm never conscious of it, but sometimes when I'm thinking, this eyebrow raises up. I can't do it voluntarily at all. They made fun of it on a cartoon. I'm sort of thumping the table saying,
okay guys, fucking Cancellaria. No money, no electricity. Cut off this fucking electricity to all debtors.
his eyebrows going. It's one of those subliminal kind of habits.
We don't have any profit, we are just three. Can you make it?
I'm sorry, we can't. I'm sorry. Okay, thanks a lot. Should we get going then, yeah?
We found out from today that a lot of bills that are paid by customers are not making it back to Tbilisi, which means that the money was pocketed either by our cashier or by the people at the post bank or by somebody between the Salero and our computer. The amount of work for those women, you know, that you saw today, they're completely overloaded. Reconciling all these debts, settling all these debts, and then to ask them to photocopy all bills the customers produce that we have no record of, and then to trace all of those bills that we have no record of, is just an undertaking that it's going to be impossible to manage that, you know. I mean, just truly.
So I am in charge for collection for three-phase customers. TV tower, for example, factories, commercial shops, supermarkets, everything except residential customers.
The airport actually had a debt for power for some time, so the one of the guys in charge of cutting off the, you know, getting the bills from the airport, he cut the airport off.
I got information that airplane was going to land to this aircraft factory airport.
When a plane was coming into land, we all of a sudden just turned them off.
Airplane was coming for 5 minutes.
And they freaked out and paid the bill instantly, man.
Imagine they are paying after you disconnect, so it means that they have money to pay, or they can get money to pay their power bill, but anyway you have to do this kind of stuff. It's disaster, you know, when you have to disconnect this kind of facilities. It's disaster. It shows how bad the situation is in this country, you know. Maybe it's because of corruption. Maybe it happens because people are not accustomed to pay their power bill.
Stalin's a local boy. He's a Georgian, of course. He went to the seminary in Tbilisi, got hooked up with the Bolsheviks, and ended up rising to the top of the pile. Unbelievable organizational skills that the Bolsheviks had. But what they used to do it was fear. The Soviets trained everybody to focus on all these details and forget the big picture and the concepts. It's a way of social control. Build walls between people, have people focus on being a little cog in the machine, but don't think about the big picture. And that's a Soviet thing. These are the older Tbilisi guys that built the system. They were born in the 40s, just before the war, teenagers when Stalin died. They saw Tbilisi just fall apart. The whole company just fall apart and get eaten up by thugs and mafiosi and stuff. And they're rebuilding the company now.
It's enough, 12 guys, it's enough to do everything what you told me.
Okay, why are you worried that suddenly tomorrow they will have no job?
It's, when some job is changing, it's always we have some doubt in it.
The problem here is not the number of people, it's the vision of managers. What's in the past is done. Talk about the future where you want to go. Maybe the vision, you know, new vision. You know? I want training, management training, for the future, you know? So next week, okay, bring somebody who's less than 35 to this meeting. Every week, and let's really train managers. And let's shake this up, you know, like let's for the future, you know.
But at highest level, we don't believe the purpose of a corporation is to profit maximize. This was a very radical concept, thinking beyond the bottom line, a slightly wider agenda. It doesn't mean we're a bunch of crazy people wearing sandals. Business has to be business, but the idea of sustaining the business and growing the business is not just to make profits.
AES is the first multinational I ever worked for. I never thought I would ever be in this situation, but I really believe in what I'm doing, and I think that AES is a very good venue to do it in. That's how I like to work. Facilitate people taking on responsibility. You get enjoyment from that, you take ownership of that, and you put more of your soul into it. And the results are incredible, but it requires you to be close to people. This is very postmodern Western management techniques, and here we are in the former Soviet Union, the land of total verticalism, and it's a huge culture clash.
AES's values are integrity, fairness, social responsibility, and fun. I think sometimes the perception is, oh, it's impossible for a company to have these values, especially a corporate American company. See, what you're trying to do is transition the people and the community in this business to, a capitalist way of doing business. Some of the customers aren't too happy with that. Originally, they busted the meter cabinets. Now they've gone back to the kiosk, broke the lock, switched themselves back on, and put their own lock on the kiosk there, so we can't get in and redisconnect them. They damaged the window here and removed some seals off of a meter here. Doesn't look like they really did anything else. It looks like maybe they just out of aggression smashed the meter. So here, it looks like they've defeated the lock. This is not dangerous, this is deadly. Somebody can touch that and die, right? That's why it's in a cabinet and it's locked.
These substations are extremely dangerous, and we'd just like to stress to the people of Tbilisi, please stay out of these places.
We have disconnected about 12 buildings. These customers realized that these are Tbilisi people. So nearly all the population in this building came down, surrounded them, didn't let them to go anywhere, didn't let them to make their jobs, and some tension and shouting. We went there and talked to customers about 1.5 hours. They also were trying to push us. We found that all the meter boxes were damaged. Then we made decision to reconnect all the customers, all of them, not just them who paid the bills.
AES McVary generates electricity to the Georgian grid. We bill the wholesale energy market, and the wholesale energy market has not paid AES McVary a single lari since we started operation here.
AES Gardabani is a gas-fired power station that AES purchased to help us with our supply of power. You can't sell what you don't have, so we purchased the generating station to go hand in hand with the distribution company. We operate about 40 kilometers outside the capital city of Tbilisi to provide anywhere up to 75% of all the electricity in Georgia in the wintertime.
How much is the debt?
22 million lari. We want to generate in Georgia. Georgia needs us to generate. To do that, I need gas. And I cannot buy gas without money.
This place needs jobs. Nobody's going to come in here and open up a factory than electricity. The key is 24-hour power or close to it in Tbilisi this winter. If that happens, we'll really turn a major corner here.
They had burning barricade across this road here because of the electrical problem.
This winter was the toughest winter.
მთავრობას უნდა შეერწყოს იმისი, რომ ერთი წარმოება მაინც ამუშავონ, რომ რაღაც ხალხს სტიმული კონდეს, ვაი, რაღაც არსებობს საქართველოში.
Winter is bad, you know. Your mentality is not normal when there's no electricity, and also you cannot work properly.
The issue here really isn't so much that they're disconnected, because even if these customers had paid their bill and we hadn't disconnected them, there still would be no electricity right now because of there's a deficit of electricity in Tbilisi here.
In a day, it's about 4 or 5 hours of electricity, and other time we're in darkness.
This is the crazy thing, is that this could be like a street in Italy or in Spain or wherever. Look, you know, you've got these fancy cars, you know, there's houses being built, there's money around here. But there's no electricity, right? What's going on? This will be all changed too. This is my room. See, Jajarobit, it's all open because I just got the job, so I'm just, you know, open door policy and, you know, meetings, a lot of talking. Well, I just got this job about 3 weeks ago. It's the big factory region of Tbilisi. It's the largest in area. It's got the second largest number of customers, 100,000 customers. We lose about $2 million a month now on the difference between our supplies and our collections. So this is the $2 million a month loss team, you know, right here.
Now we had the electricity. Mainly it's after 9 o'clock. Last year it was after 7 o'clock, but now it's after 9 o'clock.
You know,
until 12.
Yeah. When is there no light, you're obsessed when the light is coming, and when light comes, then you're obsessed when they are going to shut it down.
There has been huge pressure right from the very beginning of the program. It was coming both from the government, and on the other hand, we had some gang people coming and threatening each journalist. I also had, for example, people coming and promising to kill me.
Factories and plants that don't pay for the electricity are still receiving it regularly. Those power plants are owned by the relatives of the president, and everyone knows that, and this is the issue discussed widely in the whole media. But yet, this is going on all the time.
Zoti is a big chemicals plant. It's one of these huge old kind of Soviet-era combinats. They received something like 13 million laris worth of power, which is about $6 million worth of power last year. Didn't pay anything for that. That would be enough to almost power the whole of Tbilisi for 1 month during the winter. You take power, you got to pay for it. And that message is the same for a residential customer as it is for a big industrial customer. And nobody was disconnecting them because these guys were so powerful. And ultimately, the combination of the pressure from us and those demonstrations got some of these guys disconnected. So you can count it as a success.
In any power system anywhere in the world, the National Dispatch Center is a very important place. All the regional dispatch centers and all the local switching and transformer stations, they work under the strict control of that dispatch center. But what's happened in Georgia is it's all kind of broken down, There's a lot of bribery and corruption, allegedly in this system. Because people who are not being paid a salary or paid very low salaries, they're the guys in charge of the switches. So they may be like, okay, if I have 10 megawatts tonight and I can give it to one of 4 feeders, the one that gave me some money or took me out to dinner last week, and my salary is like nothing and I haven't been paid for 6 months anyway, what are you going to do, I mean, that's the way the system works. You can't blame those people.
I had talks with the representatives of the ministry, and they said, don't you know how the president actually appoints the ministers? The major criteria for that is that if they are providing free energy for their relatives. That's the major criteria for a person to be appointed as minister in Georgia.
And the ministry, in theory, is in charge of policy. Well, policy to me doesn't include phoning up dispatch and saying, connect this customer right now.
მე არ ვამბობ მოსახლეობაზე, პორტმა უნდა მიიღოს ელექტროენერგია, ბატონო რა. მაკონტროლებელი ფუნქცია ჩვენ არ აქვს დისპეჩერიზაციის, მე მინდა სასახელო პასუხო საქართველოს კანონმდებლობით. ნაციონალური დისპეჩერიზაციის კონტროლი მთლიანად არის საბითო ბაზრის განკარგვებს ასრულებს. მე ამას ვაკონტროლებ, ბუნებრივია, მაგრამ მათ ჰქონდათ AES ჰქონდა პირდაპირ ხელშეკრულება დაწდებული დისპეჩერიზაციასთან.
ჟავზე საათიანი გრაფიკი. და დაახლოებით რამდენ ხანში გამოსწორდება მდგომარეობა და როდის იქნება 24 საათიანი გრაფიკი? დაახლოებით დღეში მოსალოდნელია.
The best and brightest are not working in the energy ministry.
He's making decisions and obviously getting some type of compensation for it, right? He's not doing what's best for the energy sector.
What is your salary? ძალიან პატარა, 150 ლარი.
These guys have significant power. The potential cost to the state is vast when one of these guys abuses their position. Far, far outweighs the provision of a decent salary to a minister and his key officials.
Originally, 50% collections and he was going to cut it. But I think he just wanted to grow his hair long.
That dispatch center is in charge of the whole nation, and there's discretionary decisions being made all the time that involve huge amounts of power and a lot of money, and the power supply to Tbilisi. What happens is the power comes in off of the transmission lines, the tall pylons, into the substation, and there's a big transformer outside, and that's where the high voltage, in this case 35,000 volts, is transformed to 6,000 volts. And these feeders are the 6,000 volt switches. So there may be 5,000 customers on this feeder right here. So that's a powerful switch right there. This is the Chinese embassy's feeder. This is for the Philharmonic. It's my feeder. My house. This is the TV tower up at the top there. This is for the government buildings downtown. This is Metro, see? What happens is that they get a call from the dispatch center and they say, turn this on, turn this off. And when it's turned off, there's no power.
Want to see our generator? Every evening they cut off the light, so we have to use that. Or just sleep.
Everyone you talk to rents flats from the lower floors because you don't want to go up in the lift.
My worst nightmare happened when I got in this lift here and I got stuck between the 3rd and the 4th floors.
My bathroom's got no windows. Lighting a candle to shave and it's coming out. Cut your face half the time. Somehow you are happier with the lights on and you go down when the power goes off.
It's quite a challenging time, interesting time, difficult time, and dramatic also. But at the same time, we enjoy life, To be a genuine Georgian is always, you have to enjoy life even when you are on the
The Caucasus are big and young mountains, steep and deep snow. Gudauri. It was built in the 1980s as a helicopter skiing resort by a joint venture between the Soviets and the Austrians to sort of raise foreign exchange.
I've worked in Georgia, Turkey, and Azerbaijan. Observed elections in one in Azerbaijan and 3 in Georgia. The big question with these elections was not really any opposition to President Shevardnadze, but getting the required voter turnout to make the elections valid. Where I was observing, they had 90% turnout by about 10 a.m., although there's only a trickle of voters. I myself saw stuffed ballot boxes, chunks of ballots in the box when we opened it, full voter list signed completely by one person. You could tell the signatures. Commission members signed a list in front of us. I know of people who went to vote and had their names already signed. They'd already voted. The problem right now is getting people organized to demand a change. So that's where the work needs to be done.
Утверждает, что это якобы размывание принципов. В этом главном для всех нас вопросе компромиссов быть не может.
We have no telephone line in town from this building. They cut off all lines.
Are you expecting any outside help soon?
From the no.
There was mayhem in Georgia after independence. There were civil wars. 3 parts of the country basically seceded. The mafia groups got rid of Gamsakhodya, and then Shevardnadze came back. He's got a lot of enemies, you see, because of what happened to the first president, Gamsakhodya. The most recent attempt was down on the wharf. They had a hit squad with a number of rocket-propelled grenades, and they blew up a few cars, and a number of people died. But he was in this German armored Mercedes, not a scratch inside the car.
Georgia's history as independent nation is maybe the most dramatic among all post-Soviet states.
თბილისის ცენტრში კვლავ საპროტესტო დემონსტრაციებია. ქუჩაში საბურავები იწვის და ზოგან უკვე ბარიკადებიც კი აღმართეს. ერთადერთი რის პირობასაც ენერგეტიკის სამინისტრო იძლევა, ხამე თბილისში შუქი არ იქნება. სამაგიეროდ არავინ იცის იქნება თუ არა დენი დღისით. პასუხისმგებელი კი ისევ არ ჩანს. სამინისტრო ხელს თელასისაკენ იშვებს. თელასის სამინისტროსა და დისპეჩერიზაციისკენ მათ არ სჭირდებათ განხილვები, მათ არ სჭირდებათ ბრძოლა უწყებებს შორის და ინვესტორებსა და უწყებებს შორის ბრძოლებიც არაფერში არ ადგებათ. ვინ არის გარანტი იმის, რომ დღეს შეპირებული, დღეს გამოცხადებული გრაფიკი დილის 7 საათიდან ღამის
People want to know why isn't there any power? And when you spend the time with people, talk to people, it helps, I think. When you know why you're being affected like that. Sometimes I'm a bit nervous because you can get lynched, that kind of mob thing, you can't control the mob.
ჩვენ კონტროლა არ აქვს. ჩვენ გადავიხდი, შუქი არ მოდის.
მაშინ წავიდე დავანგრიოთ ყველაფერი რა. თუ კონტროლის ქვეშ არ არის, ფულ შენ გაძლევ, კონტროლის ქვეშ არის. ეგ როგორ იმ სოჩიკებს? კი. წერაქვით აი ესეთ ხის ტარიანი წერაქვით ჩამპრა.
სმო აქამდე არის რა, გადავიხდი. შუქი მიდის სხვაგან და არ იხდიან.
Maybe we'll help us.
Maybe you will help us.
Yeah, we'll do it. What?
Please help us.
What?
go to the Minister of Energy and ask that they give power to where we pay. In Tbilisi, there's power supply because somebody in the president's family is building a house out there and they wanted a better power supply, and there had been a written order given to the National Dispatch Center. So the guy I was with from the regional government, I said, this is part of the reason because, you know, the dispatch center is under political criteria. So tell everybody. If you want to know why we don't have power, just tell everybody. And he looked at me and he said,
If you will tell
no, I know, you go crazy.
You will see how I will be killed.
Yeah. We're foreigners, so we have some more latitude, I think. Aravitsi, ისა გზაზე ვარ, ისა ხალხთან ერთად ჩუკი არ არის რაღაც. მევდივარ საკანერგოში ნახოთ ახლა თუ არის ვინმე თუ რა ვიცი. Sakanergo was the Soviet state structure that took care of all the power supply issues. It's been divided up slowly over the last 10 years. Oh, Mike, yeah, which door are you coming to? მაგრამ ჩემი აბონენტი რა თქვა მე ჩემი აბონენტებისთვის მაგალითად სანი აბლაბარში სოდვა ხალხი სად მედის ეს შუქი მე
თბილისში სად მედის
არ მედის თბილისში ეს მოდის ქალაქში ახლა this is the Rustavi water supply that gad ixtian isini no they don't pay anything yeah this is the railway yeah da ixtian isini
კენიზა როგორ იხდის მეგონი დაანცულა
azote ixtis 100% azote nothing they azote doesn't pay anything
is azote being resupplied
yeah azote არის ჩართული ახლა
azote ჩართულია
it's ჩართულია yeah so it's turned on right now azote
who controls dispatch
vis controls dispatcherization
dispatcheri ჩვენ უყურებთ კონტროლი კია მაგრამ პოლიტიკური ნება ჩვენ
they're under political control yeah
ეს არის მთავრობის საკითხი მინისტრის
საკითხი the government's
ეს არის მინისტრის საკითხი
yeah David how you doing azote is being supplied again yeah they paid for approximately 1 week's consumption and they got resupplied after not paying anything all year
2 years
well, why have they been reconnected azote they owe 16 million lari from last year thanks bye-bye you don't take it for 15 or 18 months without paying then when you finally hauled to account and told to pay for it suddenly complain about the power quality 18 months ago and go to court you know it's just a nonsense it's a sham
I think this AES this American company was not fully informed about the tragedy of Georgian electric grid or electric supply. Everyone understands that they need time. Everything cannot be done in 1 day or 1 year even.
How would a multinational corporation be organized? What would its purpose be if you were trying to live consistent with your faith? And that has been the journey that I've been on. I think this desire for power, for control, to control others' lives and control the world around you is more seductive than sex, more seductive than money. What we've tried to do here is to rein that in and ask our leaders to voluntarily give up some of their power, most of their power if we can, so that as many individuals in the organization can experience the joy and the excitement, the fulfillment from being free to make decisions themselves, and therefore have the most fun workplace ever.
Dennis is definitely the man. He's a thinker, you know, he really is. I guess he was the son of a sort of rural Washington State family, and there were a number of sons, and 4 of them are preachers. And he's sort of a preacher for what he does, too.
What is the most fun thing to do in business? To make a decision, yeah. At AES, we've taken most of those decisions away from the bosses. So at AES, we highly prefer that the person selected or the person whose problem it was makes the final decision.
Shevardnadze and the rest of the government, I think, want this to work. They realize it's a long, hard trek, and we didn't think it was going to be as long and hard as it is. We know that the goal is to have this to be economically sustainable forever. And we're going to work everything we can to make that happen.
There is a story that when God was giving the land to the people, all the nations came and received their land. The Georgians were having a party, they were drinking wine, and they were late. So there was no land left for them. And then Santa Maria said that let them give my land. So she gave us her land. So that's why this land is so special. That's the story.
Very, very good power supply in Georgia in the summer. And everyone's kind of happy. You know, the weather's great, you know, there's fruit falling out of the trees, the snow melts in the mountains, the water kind of runs off, all the hydro stations are producing vast amounts of energy, and the country has a surplus. May was very good in Pierce's region. He was doing something like 70% collections across the whole region. He's really got his leaders motivated. I think we're 6 months away from having this thing working properly.
I think it just takes time, you know. We got organized gradually. Well, we got good results. We got 85% collections from suppliers in May, but I did cut it before that. But we did get 49% or something when I cut it. That's hopeful that despite people's problems, they really want to make it happen and they really want to contribute to something. You know, the street fighting of the first 2 years is still going on, but much less intensity. We're starting to do things now that we've been stuck on for 2 years, but now those things are starting to move very quickly. It's very interesting what's happening here, you know. It's really coming together, as the country is not, unfortunately.
AES is no separate country. Okay, if they're getting payment, that doesn't mean that they aren't having problems at all. Georgia is moving definitely down in the aspects of human rights, economy, social life, everything.
Well, much has happened since our visit 2 years ago.
The investors in Tbilisi have had zero return. That cannot continue. With the cooperation of the people of Tbilisi and good hard work by our people, we think that there can be some economic improvements over the next year or two. But the company is far from out of trouble.
When you see that the situation is just getting worse and worse, what is the basis for having any hope?
Our lives definitely are sacrificed to this era, end of communism and corruption.
I think that our future is in our hands, so the new generation can improve everything. I'm optimistic.
We tried. It's all you can do, isn't it? Is like try your best, and we've really tried. I mean, there's a lot of people working. You know, I've never been involved in anything like this in my whole life. I mean, it's something else. It's never over, really, is it?
Minda ატომიური შუქი მინდა შუქი